have in front of me here a slim TV wall mounting bracket suitable for televisions from 17 to 37 inches. Really what decides this is the VESA standards that this can support. So this bracket in front of me can support VESA standard 100 up to a VESA standard 200, and the significance of that is it's really the distance between the holes in the back of the television, if they're 100mm apart or they're 200mm apart. So if we look at the actual what comes inside the pack, I'll just give a quick overview of what comes in the pack and then how it all goes together. So the first thing is we have a wall mounting bracket here. We have another bracket that's mounted directly onto the back of the television, and we have these plugs and screws here that are used to actually mount the bracket I showed first onto a concrete or timber wall, whatever. And then we come along and we have 4 screws, 4 nuts here that we'll use for connecting the TV onto this part of the wall bracket. Then we have 4 smaller screws here if we're using a smaller television. We have 2 standoff plugs here, and the idea of this is to be able to push out the bottom of the television out from the wall so we can angle it just as we want. And then we just have some washers and screws. And we also have a spirit level here, and we have a reasonably detailed instruction manual. I'll just hold it up for a minute here and just give us a step-by-step guide on how to install this. But I think we give an overview here and you should have a good idea anyway. So people might be a little bit put off because they're saying, my goodness, I have quite a large television, it will just do it. And it will do it for you, okay? So the first thing is the actual bracket that goes on the wall. You see there's arrows up here that's indicating what way we mount it, so pointing upwards. And if we want to mount this onto the wall, what we'll do is we'll just get a pen, we'll mark the wall, and we'll mark it this hole and this hole here, okay? And to make sure that we're having it totally square, we can use this spirit level here. We can just use that to make it completely square on the wall, okay? So having marked it, we'll take it down, we'll use a drill to drill the holes, we'll push in the 2 plugs here, put the bracket back up, and then use these screws here and a screwdriver just to screw it in. And now we'll have our wall bracket part of it mounted directly onto the wall securely. So the next step is that we want to get the other part of the bracket, which we have here, and we want to mount it onto the back of our television. So we'll use the VESA holes that are there. So, and if we can imagine, we'll say we find a hole on the television here, depending on whether it's 100 or 200 VESA, and we can just come along, we screw it directly in using these washers here, and we secure this bracket onto the back of the television. So now we have a situation where we'll have the bracket mounted onto the wall, and this bracket here, that's a sister part of that bracket, mounted onto the back of the television. So the next part of the step is actually to come along and with the bracket in place, lift the television onto this bracket and suspend it off the wall. And with this, we have this piece of string here. And I'll just show the significance of this first of all. This is, we pull this down to release it. And it just means that the locking mechanism is released, so we can clamp together the 2 brackets. And when we put it back on, it'll actually snap back in place. We can see here that we have a hook part here on the bracket, and it will sit directly onto this bracket here. And what that means is that if we come along, we have this hook here, and it sits into the ridge. Its range of movement over and back is very limited, but we can actually lift it directly off because it's not locked in currently. So what I do at this point is I'm just going to pull down on the string mechanism. We can see here this pulls down, releases, it allows it to slot in, and then we push it back in like this. And now we have a TV that can slide over and back, but it can't push over and back, up or down. So it's securely locked, it just has a very limited range of movement. And then we'll successfully have our TV locked. And this string here will simply be suspended, hanging behind the thing. If we wanted it, and we could actually just come along and get this with the hook and hang it in a position where it would be totally out of the way. But normally, certainly with a larger television, the string would be completely hidden at that point. So you can see it's a very, very clever design. So it goes for just good design and it supports things. Now we have far more complicated and indeed expensive TV brackets inside our range, but I find this one here is extremely popular with consumers. So that's it anyway. An overview of the slim TV wall bracket that will cover televisions from size 17 to 37 inches.